Best places to visit in Scotland travel video. Scotland does not feel like a normal country when traveling through it for the first time. It feels ancient, cinematic, and strangely unreal in the best possible way. One minute there are massive green valleys disappearing into fog, and the next there is a medieval castle sitting on a cliff like something pulled straight out of a fantasy movie. Some places in Scotland honestly look too dramatic to be real, especially when the weather shifts every 20 minutes and suddenly sunlight cuts through the clouds like a movie scene. The roads twist through mountains, waterfalls appear out of nowhere, and even simple train rides feel unforgettable. Once people visit Scotland, they usually leave with the same reaction. Photos never fully captured how incredible it actually felt standing there in person. Edinburgh. Edinburgh feels like two completely different cities somehow fused together into one place. The old town looks dark, medieval, and dramatic, with narrow stone streets climbing uphill toward Edinburgh Castle, while the new town feels elegant and calm, with beautiful architecture stretching across the city. Walking through Edinburgh at night almost feels surreal, because the entire city carries this mysterious atmosphere that never really disappears. Every alley seems connected to some old story, ghost legend, or historical event. And then there is Edinburgh Castle itself, sitting high above the city on volcanic rock like it was designed specifically for movie scenes. Isle of Skye. The Isle of Skye is one of those places that almost feels fictional until you actually see it. Giant cliffs disappear into the ocean, mountains rise through heavy mist, and roads curve through landscapes so dramatic it honestly becomes distracting while driving. This island became famous online for obvious reasons because nearly every direction looks like a wallpaper background. Places like the Old Man of Storr and the Quiraing look almost prehistoric, especially early in the morning when fog rolls across the hills and everything turns silent except the wind. But what makes Skye unforgettable is not just how beautiful it looks. It is the feeling of isolation. Some areas feel completely disconnected from modern life, and that quietness changes the entire experience. Glencoe. Glencoe might be one of the most hauntingly beautiful places in Scotland. Massive mountains rise sharply on both sides, while the valley stretches through the Highlands with this dark, dramatic atmosphere that never fully leaves the landscape. Even on bright, sunny days, Glencoe still feels intense somehow. Part of that comes from the history connected to the area, but even without knowing the past, people immediately feel something different here. The road through the valley is one of the most famous drives in Scotland because every few minutes the scenery somehow becomes even more ridiculous. Waterfalls appear on cliff sides, clouds wrap around mountain peaks, and the entire place feels enormous compared to everything around it. Loch Ness. Most people arrive at Loch Ness joking about monsters, but then the place itself completely steals the attention. The loch is massive, dark, and strangely calm in a way that photos rarely capture properly. Surrounded by rolling hills and shifting fog, the entire area carries this quiet, mysterious feeling that makes the legends around it oddly believable for a moment. And even without the monster stories, Loch Ness is genuinely beautiful. Boat tours glide across the deep water while ruined castles sit near the shoreline, creating some incredible views. Urquhart Castle especially looks amazing beside the loch with the mountains rising behind it. The Scottish Highlands. The Highlands are the reason so many people fall in love with Scotland completely. Endless valleys, winding roads, giant mountains, isolated villages, and landscapes that feel untouched for miles. Driving through the Highlands almost feels addictive because every turn reveals another unbelievable view. Some areas are soft and green, while others feel rugged and wild with rocky peaks disappearing into heavy clouds. The scale of the landscape is what surprises people most. Inverness. Inverness feels calmer than Scotland's larger cities, but that slower atmosphere is exactly what makes it so enjoyable. Sitting near the Highlands, the city works almost like a gateway into some of Scotland's most beautiful landscapes. The River Ness running through the center gives the city this peaceful feeling, especially during evening walks when the lights reflect across the water. Inverness Castle overlooks the area while small streets, local restaurants, and old buildings make everything feel welcoming instead of overwhelming. It is also one of the best places to slow down after exploring rougher Highland landscapes for days. Stirling. Stirling often gets overshadowed by Edinburgh, but honestly the city has one of the most impressive castles in Scotland. Stirling Castle sits dramatically above the landscape, with views stretching across huge sections of the country, and the history connected to the area is everywhere. This city played a massive role in Scotland's past, and you can feel it while walking through the old streets. The atmosphere here feels slightly quieter than Edinburgh, but still incredibly rich with character. And what makes Stirling special is the balance between history and scenery. Loch Lomond. Loch Lomond feels softer and more peaceful compared to some of Scotland's harsher landscapes. The loch stretches across beautiful green scenery with forests, hills, and quiet villages surrounding the water. It is one of those places where people instantly slow down without realizing it. Boat rides across the loch feel incredibly relaxing, especially when the weather clears and sunlight reflects across the water. And because the area sits within Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park, there are endless walking trails and scenic drives nearby. Some visitors come for hiking, while others simply want somewhere calm to escape crowded cities for a while. Aberdeen. Aberdeen feels different from many Scottish cities because of its unique architecture. Large sections of the city are built using grey granite that sparkles slightly under sunlight, giving Aberdeen the nickname of the Granite City. The combination of historic buildings, coastline views, and modern energy creates an interesting atmosphere that feels both traditional and contemporary at the same time. Nearby beaches stretch along the coast while castles and countryside sit only a short drive away. And despite being a city, Aberdeen still feels connected to nature constantly because the sea is always nearby. The North Coast 500. The North Coast 500 is not just a road trip route anymore. It became one of the most famous driving experiences in the world for a reason. Stretching through northern Scotland, this route passes cliffs, beaches, mountains, castles, tiny villages, and coastal roads that honestly look too beautiful to be real sometimes. The scenery changes constantly. One moment, there are empty white sand beaches that look Caribbean somehow, and the next there are dramatic rocky cliffs crashing into the ocean under heavy clouds. What makes the route unforgettable is the feeling of freedom. Scotland is one of those rare places that stays in people's minds long after the trip ends, because the country does not just look beautiful. It feels different. The landscapes feel larger, the history feels alive, and even ordinary moments somehow become memorable there. If this video made Scotland jump higher on your travel list, hit like, subscribe, and comment which place looked the most unreal to you. Because honestly, some parts of Scotland barely feel real at all.